Alright, it's time for the content you've all been waiting for. Okay, business. Alright, let's open the new weapon descriptions as well. Okay, so, let's read through the new Battle Pass weapons real quick so we can remember what they do. New Battle Pass bow. Unity for every character in the party who also belongs to the same region. Attack increased by 8%, EM increased by 32, up to 3. And all of these weapons are low base attack, crit rate substat, except the polearm. Catalyst. Using an elemental skill increases attack by 20% and elemental mastery by 100 for 6 seconds. This can trigger once every 12 seconds, and if you hit an opponent with a charge attack, its value is increased by 6 seconds to 12. A claymore grants one of the following buffs in order every 10 seconds. 20% attack, 120 EM, 32 stellar damage. If you trigger Stellar Conduct or Stellar Swirl, the current buff is locked in for 12 seconds. So it's kind of like Witsith, but it has full uptime on one of the buffs, and it's not random, it's in order. But it is like one of 3 buffs. The sword, using an elemental skill, give the Swift Stride buff for 14 seconds. This buff can trigger once every 14 seconds and is removed when the character leaves the field. And the buff increases attack by 20 to 40% based on distance traveled. This is a little weird because, like, who's an on-fielder that moves a lot? Like, Chlorine, I guess? Sure, it's a Chlorine weapon. Sure, I guess. Whatever. It's a lot of crit rate for her, yeah. But, like, whatever. And then finally, the polearm. Energy recharge, mid-base attack. Triggering a cryo or hydro-related elemental reaction increases attack by 20% for 15 seconds and regenerates 6 energy for other members of the party. Now, this does not restore energy to the wielder, only to other party members. 6 elemental energy is generally more than 3 clear particles. 3 clear particles is 6 base elemental energy to whoever catches them, but 3.6 to the rest. And unless you have a lot of energy recharge, that's often not going to be 6. That being said, usually you can kind of battery your Fav proc to the character who needs it the most. So generally, this is kind of just worse than Fav, because a lot of the characters that use Fav also need their energy themselves. But the refines, rather than decreasing the cooldown, increase the effect, unlike Fav. And there's a lot of teams where Fav can only proc once per rotation. So if that's the case, at high refine, this weapon can be better than Fav. So before we look at the new ones, we can get the old, easy ones out of the way. So Solar Pearl, kind of just garbage. You should never get that. Talking Stick, kind of just garbage. You should never get that. There is an argument to get Talking Stick over Serpent Spine, now that we have a lot of characters that don't care about damage percent, because Talking Stick gives some attack percent. But it's not a lot of attack percent, and part of the passive is also damage percent. So it's still kind of just garbage. You should just never get this weapon. I think that's it for the weapons you should, like, never get no matter what. Then weapons that aren't, like, very good generally, but you might have a use for. Verdescent Hunt. Black Sword. I guess that's kind of it for the old ones, sure. Although I guess maybe Black Sword is here now. Because the only characters that use Black Sword would kind of rather have the new one. So sure, maybe Black Sword is here now. Fair enough. Then, decent on, or good on characters. Why is it doing this? Good on characters which are either bad or low team or percentage of team DPS, right? So basically, weapons that either you would put on a character that isn't very good, or a weapon that is the best for a character who's just not doing that much of your team DPS, so they're not that meaningful for the teams. Obtaining them over your alternatives won't lead to a particularly big upgrade. So in there I have, I think it's called Scion of the Blazing Sun. Like, it's not a bad weapon, but like, no, Scion of something. I don't remember what it is. There's literally no content where Verdescent is doing something useful. That's not true. Yeah, like, it was useful for Hera. I used it for Mandragora grouping sometimes. It's not, like, good, but it's not completely useless either. But yeah, so we got this. We got I'd say Wolf Fang falls in here. It's a weapon that does give a lot of stats, but very often either the characters can't really use Wolf Fang to its fullest, or it's just not a large portion of team DPS. Is it good for Odette? No. It's not great for Odette. It's gonna be, like, fine, I guess, but that's it. Alright. Then, just good. We probably have Ballad of the Fjords here now, with Deathmatch. Previously, I would have said that Ballad of the Fjords would be here, with Sino getting all of the buffs that he's getting, and with this being usable in some of his teams. It goes up here, with it being usable in Arlecchino as well in some teams. It goes here. Maybe I should rename my categories. Because it does feel a lot more restrictive than Deathmatch does. And it's, even when it is better than Deathmatch, it's rarely, like, significantly better. So I feel like if you're only going to get one of the two, you're kind of better off getting Deathmatch. It feels weird to have them in the same category. I guess this was, like, good only on some accounts. Just good generally. And then I can do this, and this makes sense. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Then Serpent's Spine up here. Sack Jade, I'm not sure. Sack Jade does have the good only on some account thing, but it's also a lot better on the accounts where it's good than these weapons are. And I'd say that as a general rule, it's a higher priority than Deathmatch to get. So I think I'd just put it here. Yeah, maybe I'll just have one more. But maybe, like, other than Mawika, who cares about Serpent Spine now? Like, kind of no one, right? Varka? I guess? Pretty if you have characters that use them. I think this is fine. Because, like, I think Deathmatch is, like, never bad on an account. Even if you don't have a character that uses it now, you will eventually. And I would generally get Deathmatch over these unless you specifically don't have a character that uses Deathmatch and do have a character that uses one of these. Alright. Okay, so the bow. The racist bow. Let's think about bow users. It has to be a bow user that cares about attack and or EM. Linnea cares about the EM. It does give more crit than Slingshot does. And, like, right now, the weapon she uses by default is Slingshot. There's a new weapon that she can use for craftables. But this is probably, like, alright on her. I don't know what region she counts as being from, though. I would assume Nodcry. But, yeah, she has the same, like, icon on the vision top left as Columbina. So I think she counts as Nodcry. Go on profile. Does it say it here? Affiliation Adventurers Guild. That's not very helpful. Like, that's the same as Fischl, and I don't think they're gonna be in the... Yeah, I don't know about that. Read the description in her profile. I mean, being the advisor to the Nodcry branch doesn't mean you count as being from Nodcry. I think she's Nodcry, but just it's because of this. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Zabai has a different one. Does she not count? It's, like, very similar, but it's different. Uh-oh. She's from Leia? But yeah, but she doesn't have the same icon as the Leia characters. Yeah, like, maybe she's counted as being from Long Gone. And we're cooked. I don't know. It's a 32 EM diff, like, whatever. It'll be fine at least, but not, like, insane. Not a particularly big upgrade anyways. Like, other than that, who cares? Chaska? I guess cares about the stats, but she is omega overcapping on crit rate with this bow, so it's not happening. I mean, I guess Linny might care. Linny has the same problem. Fischl. Fischl will often work with this, sure. I think the main issue here is, like, it's not really that big of a deal for any carry. I guess Venti, maybe? I guess it'd be pretty good on Venti. 24% attack. It'll be fine. I think the main issue with this weapon isn't necessarily the team building requirement, is the fact that there's not that many characters that care about both attack and EM. that are bow characters. If you look at the Nullcry stuff, which is when characters care the most about attacking EM, the only one we have is Linnea, because Yoda doesn't care about EM. The only one we have is Linnea, and she's not an attack scaler. So other than that, it would be like for Vape or Melt carries. But the carries already have access to some pretty strong options, assuming you have external attack buffs, because Slingshot exists. So it's not like that big of a deal, I think. Like, it's definitely not bad, but I think it falls into the same category as these weapons. Definitely not a weapon that's good generally, I would say. Alright, next one is the Catalyst. Using an elemental skill increases attack by 20 and EM by 100. And charge attack extends this. That's better. Like, this works on Nefer for 100 EM on a crit stat stick. That should be better than the weapon options you're using right now, like for the 4 stars. But it has a lot of crit rate, and Nefer can struggle with overcapping pretty easily. Because Llama gives 10, the set bonus gives 30, 36, 30? I forgot. 30? It gives 30. And you start with 5. So this is just, yeah, you're starting at 80% crit. It's going to make it really difficult to gear in a way where you're not wasting some of the crit. So, like, very often, it's not actually going to be better than using your stronger artifacts that have a lot of crit rate on them with a weapon that isn't giving as much crit, even if it has more stats overall. Other than that, for Catalyst that could care about these stats, I mean, Varessa can use this. You don't need your character to care about everything here, because 20% attack is okay, and 100 EM is okay. So as long as you care about one of the two, if you have full uptime on the buff, it's like, alright. This is going to be a fine weapon for Varessa. Should be better than Widsith if you're not overcapping. But Varessa it's easier not to overcap, because her signature set doesn't give crit rate. Yumek Glorp can use this, but it's barely better than Sack Frag with the new Settlers World stuff, so meh. Molani doesn't hit enemies with charge attacks, so your uptime is pretty bad, and Sack Jade is just already giving more stats, so there's no reason to get it from Molani. Risley uses everything here, basically. So it should be pretty good. I should actually calc it. I have a Risley calc open right now. So it is 454 base. We don't have the 20% attack from Widsith, but instead we have 20% attack from this. Got it. We don't have the damage percent from Widsith. Crit value is 36.8 times 2. We have 100 EM instead of 80. It's worse than Widsith. Why? Why is it worse than Widsith? That's embarrassing. What the fuck? Okay, well, I guess. I mean, I guess it makes sense. These teams don't have flat attack buffs, so low base attack is actually not, like, good. And the value of the effect is pretty similar to R5 Widsith. And you also have crit rate overcap issues, potentially, in this team, right? So, this is an R5 merchant, basically, on Risley, where, if you're willing to go for the refines on it, it will be a pretty noticeable upgrade over your other options, but at R1, it's straight up just not even better than Widsith, while also potentially cooking your crit ratio. On Yai, it won't be worse than the new free-to-play, or it won't be better than the new free-to-play, because her uptime on it is really bad. On Mona. Mona won't really like this, because she doesn't really use her elemental skill during her uptime. So it won't be easy to get this without losing vapes. Klee can use this, I guess. Should be pretty good for Klee, I suppose. Yeah. I think it's just... Widsith being a weapon that is a crit weapon that is on the like on the standard banner. I think that's the only weapon type that has a crit weapon, right? Or is there another one? Swords, there's none. Bows, there's none. Claymores, there's none. Catalysts, there's Widsith. It's the only weapon type that has a 4-star with crit on it. So, just being a crit weapon doesn't create the situations where, like, you care less about stats other than crit because you're stacking a lot of them that it does for the other weapons. And when you look at the characters that do benefit from it, all the characters that can use this weapon can already use Widsith, and Widsith is about as good as an R1 of this weapon. So maybe I need to add a category for this, because, like, yeah, like, only good if you refine it. I mean, I guess it's just good on some accounts at that point, sure. Right. Next one is... Alright, the Claymore... Claymore is... I mean, it's weird. It's like, how much better than the craftable is it on Sendrone, actually? I should take a look. Pretty sure these... This is outdated, I'm pretty sure, but I can still, like, compare it by only changing weapon. It's 454. Doesn't have the 32. Or this has 20 instead. Well, 20 divided by 3. The crit 36.8 times 2. The EM 120 divided by 3. EM multiplier. The Claymore didn't have any, right? So is 32. 32 divided by 3. It's worse. Why is it worse? Bro, are these weapons all frauds or what? The extension can apply to all 3 balls. I mean, it says the current buff will be retained. I assume that this means that's the one you keep and you don't change to the next one. But maybe it means you keep it, but it keeps cycling, and then you end up with 2 of them. I guess it should, because otherwise the numbers on this are lower than the other weapons. Okay. I could see it. So you'd have 2 of these at the same time, basically. I know about the crit rate. Okay, so it is slightly better. Yeah, so on characters that care about all of the effects, it's, like, slightly better than the new craftable at R1. But not significantly, and it's a crit rate weapon. So it's very easy to overcap on characters like Sendrone. Now... That's assuming you don't play VV Sendrone, which is actually going to be a thing for some fucking reason, but it is what it is. Yeah, other than that, what are the other Claymores that, like, could use this? Mawika can use 2 of the 3 buffs, but, like, on average, it should be about as good as Serpent Spine. Maybe it's slightly better, and it does refine better, because the refinements are linear. It's fine. Varka only cares about 1 of them, so it'll be worse. Gameng cares about 2 of them, maybe. But yeah, you can kind of think of it as, like, assuming that the buffs can coexist and that you get 2 of them at the same time. It's kind of like a less generalist Serpent Spine. That works on stellar characters. So it kind of goes back to the good only on some accounts thing. I guess no, because, like, it's not like it's not significantly better than the craftable on the characters that use it right now, which is the problem, right? On, like, Serpent Spine, and you have crit rate overcap issues. Like, it could get better in the future, but right now it's just not the best. Sword. I mean, the only character that actually moves a lot is Claren for sword users that stay on field. So, like, yeah. And it's like a little bit better than Black Sword, I guess. But like, ugh, this is just kind of not great. Skirk kind of move. Maybe Skirk moves enough to get a lot of value out of this. 2040. Holy, this was the 2040 all along. But yeah, if Skirk does move enough, then maybe it's fine. At R1, it's so much less stats than Eshu, though. So it'll only be on teams, either if you don't have Eshu or teams that don't use shields. At R5, it is actually just straight up more stats than Eshu, assuming you fully cap it. So maybe it's good. It goes back on the good only for some accounts, I guess. All of these weapons are just so specific, all the new ones, that it's like weird. And then finally we have paid Fav. Right, the new polearm. I mean, paid Fav is Fav. Fav is good. It is another copy of Fav. It's not reliant on critting. It is reliant on triggering a reaction, though, so sometimes your setups won't allow you to do that. Without refinements on it, it's not really better than Fav, but, like, getting this allows you to refine your Favs more, because you have another Fav replacement that you can use on some characters. It does remove the RNG. It can be useful. If you do get refinements on it, though, it'll be pretty useful. Often useful over Fav, but is it worth getting a bunch of refinements on that instead of on a weapon that your carry uses? Probably not. But yeah, right now it's usable on, like, Itlua. It's usable on... it'll be usable on Alyosha. It's usable on Escoffier. Maybe not the best on Escoffier, because she cares about the energy as well. Yeah, maybe not. I mean, maybe on Shenhe. I guess there's not that many characters that can use it right now. But, like... yeah, actually, there's not that many characters that can use it right now. Alright, all 5 of the new weapons just go into this tier. Whatever. Whatever, man. Sure. Why not? Love that. Amazing. It's good and rational. Yeah, it should be a pretty good weapon for Raiden, but I don't think it's better than Fav. Because Raiden can get 2 Fav procs, so it's just more energy. Yeah, these new Battle Pass weapons aren't that good right now. I assume they're designed around the characters that are gonna come out afterwards, though. Like, I assume Vesna is gonna move a lot, so the Battle Pass sword will be good on her. But yeah, this is like 454 base is so ass. It's not really bad. What's bad isn't that it's 454 base, it's that specifically it's crit rate. So a lot of the characters that could use it will just overcap on crit if they use it. And the passives are kind of just too restrictive. Like, half of these weapons mention Stellar in their descriptions, and we don't even have characters that do Stellar for those weapon types yet, so, like, yeah. Obviously, they're not going to be very good. But yeah, we don't have a talking stick, so that's cool. Like, they're all potentially useful.